Okay. In addition, did you hear that every content creator literally has made no money since Christmas? You heard that, right? Like everyone just had to stop streaming because no one has anything to support them with. No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Urban style individual.
What's up with y'all? Hopefully this video finds you in good spirits, and if not, well, at least you not DSP. Now, when we're watching this video, I want people to understand the importance of having a plan, and not just the initial plan, but a contingency in place in case the original plan does not work. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to follow it to a T, but it will give you a good reference point for your progression or the lack thereof. So let's get into it.
All right. So real talk, we have to start talking about what you guys want and what's going to work. We have to. We have to start talking about this because everything was great before Christmas.
Now, when you're watching this, I want you to pay attention to the uncertainty that's oozing off of him. And I'm going to keep harping on the concept of a plan and how important this is, so young men and women don't end up like this guy.
All of a sudden I come back from Christmas and now we're having slow streams, dead streams, streams where people are saying they don't like it anymore, even though previously people were saying they liked it. Streams that have little to no engagement or support. Like, I don't know what changed. I'm the same guy. I'm putting out the same level of content. You tell me.
Well, you just said what the problem was, Phil. Now, we know that you spent thousands of dollars of upgrading everything around you, but you didn't take a second to upgrade what needs to be upgraded, which is you. Now, you're going to list how 3 games in as many days have not done well, but the common denominator throughout this whole process is you, even though you won't acknowledge it. So all this about what's going on, what do we need to do, really is hogwash, because you'll never deal with the root of the problem.
And the thing is, when I ask questions like that, sadly, I don't get a lot of positive answers. I get a lot of trollish answers that don't help. I get moronic answers, you know? So.
No, you get good answers. It's just that you're emotional and you're not accustomed to people telling you like it is. And if they do, you immediately blot them out as if they're a detractor. Now, many of us who came up under, we play high school sports, or maybe you went to boot camp or whatever, people said things to you that you needed to hear, and they didn't say it in a way that you would like to hear it. But that was the point. It was to engage you on a fundamental level to get you to react. If they said it softly, you would probably, just pat it off as something that's dumb, or, nah, get out of here, I ain't trying to hear that. But they have to tighten you up, right? They have to pucker your ears. So a lot of times it's going to be laced in something that comes off as a little bit insulting, so you'll pay more attention. Isn't that why you talk to Asmongold the way you did, Phil? So you can get his attention? So you understand this concept very well. You're just acting like you don't.
There's not much that I can really do. I'm just trying to do things you guys want. This morning we had the conversation and people said RimWorld. All right, I immediately bought it. We're going to play RimWorld. Okay, we're doing that Wednesday night. We're giving it a shot.
Now, look, let me say this real quick about RimWorld. I'm not sure if that's some troll orchestrated stuff going on there, but he is going to struggle with RimWorld. He is going to struggle big time. So make sure y'all tune in for that.
Outside of that, I don't know what else to say. I'm trying my best. I will give you what you ask for. I will play what you want, but I need to know what that is.
So we're effectively at the company business meeting, and Phil really has no input. He's just a receptacle at this point. He's just here to receive, and it better be something that's to his liking. But don't you notice how he always holds these meetings, but he has no actual real input?
And now we've had 3 straight streams where people have been apparently disappointed. Last night with Megabong, today both with Tainted Grail and with Power Wash Sim. Okay, great. Well, then what should we do in place of these games? And in truth, this may be a thing that happens all the time now. This may be a case where, because I'm not committing to long-term playthroughs of games much anymore, unless it's like a really high-profile game that everyone's liking or I'm liking, there was never a commitment that I had to beat Power Wash Sim 2. That's just a game meant to be chill late-night content. That was to be dropped whenever. Tainted Grail, I didn't even know if I was going to play. I like it, but it seems like it's not really working well. I want to give it another shot. I don't know if it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can really do about this stuff.
Now you hear that? There's nothing I can really do about this stuff. Look at this defeatist mentality that he has. And this is why I say he dwells in extremes, because when things don't go his way, look at his body language. Look how he's throwing his hands up. He really has no idea what to do. But when people are throwing money at him, all of a sudden he's king shit, right? Now, neither one he has any real control over, but he'll bask in the glory when things go his way and then not understand why people don't care when things don't go his way.
Maybe this is just a symptom of content creation is changing. You know, people who commit to long-term playthroughs just don't do that well anymore. You got to be more adjusting on the fly, which I'm okay with. But then I need to know what's the new thing that you want to see.
Look, we're not going to blame this on long games because people are playing long games. Developers are still developing long games and people are still enjoying long games. People just don't want to watch you play long games because you're inefficient. All right. If you're going to play something that's 40 to 50 hours long, why are you playing it on a Tuesday morning or basically afternoon and then not playing it again into a Friday night? Does that make any sense? Like, my God. So by the time you are even halfway through the game, most people are done with that game and are on to their second or third game by then, Phil, and you're just finishing up. It's pathetic. And you're supposed to be the professional. People watch YouTubers because, generally speaking, they're really good at what they do. Like, think, for example, a Call of Duty content creator, or for whatever game. Usually the people who make content on those games are actually good at those games. You don't have that quality, Phil. So you have to bring something else, but you have nothing else. And here we are.
You know, people said Terminator 2, that or whatever it's called, Terminator 2D, right? That's great, but it's like a 2-hour game. That's not even something that's going to have longevity. If I buy it right now, it'll be one night stream, and that's really not a solution to anything. That's just a quick distraction, and then we're back to square one again, right?
So what Phil's basically saying is, no, I don't want you to buy one ticket to one game. I want you to buy season tickets. I need to know that the money's going to flow for at least another month, month and a half before I commit to anything. This is really what this is about, which doesn't make sense to me why he's doing this on a public platform where he can just go into his Discord and ask his whales, because ultimately those are the ones that are going to have the deciding vote on what you do. The rest of this stuff is just a charade. It's pretty much a formality at this point, like a ceremony that nobody really wants to be at.
I want to know what stuff you guys want to see that it's going to last a few streams, that will be entertaining, you know? This is nonsense. Really, I love that people have these justifications. First thing they say is, well, people spent all their money on Christmas. They need to get paychecks again to afford to support a creator, okay? Number one, no one's just talking about money. Distinctly, the last 3 streams I've done have had low attendance, low engagement, and low support. It hasn't just been, oh, low contributions. That's not what I said.
You see how triggered he is. But instead of him, you know, he's listing off these metrics, you know, everything going wrong. But instead of him looking inwardly and saying, what can I do from an entertainment perspective to incentivize those things? His solution is he's just going to beg you for them. And he wonder why nobody takes him seriously. And he wonder why nobody respects him. Why would they?
I'm saying it's all 3 things are going hand in hand. So it's not, oh, people just can't afford to contribute. It's that people aren't even showing up and aren't engaging while also there's no supporting. You get it?
Well, why don't you think about what time of year it is, Phil? A lot of people are traveling to and fro all across the country. A lot of people are not going back to work. I know kids for sure, and people who work in education, you know, they out of work right now. They're enjoying time with their family, dude. They're not worried about you. And that's the point that you don't understand. Entertainment is on a very tail end of the totem pole in terms of what people need. That's something that gets cut first. But in times like this, people are prioritizing real world interactions, not interactions with you. Just is what it is.
That's just a bullshit excuse that you're hearing from people who want to try to falsely justify something. Okay. In addition, did you hear that every content creator literally has made no money since Christmas? You heard that, right? Like, everyone just had to stop streaming because no one has anything to support them with. No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What's happening is certain things I'm doing aren't working.
That's always the case, Phil. But even with other content creators, they're so generous and so giving to their communities. They're entertaining. They actually care about what they're doing. Usually around this time of year, people actually give them things, right? Because they feel like, quote unquote, according to you, 'tis the season, right? So they'll look out for somebody who they feel like has been entertaining them throughout the course of the year. But for you, it's the inverse. All you've done is taken throughout the year. And now that your dents are maybe engaging with family members or are across country dealing with family, you're upset. It's like, what is going on with you, man? You at least think that he would have the wherewithal to understand what time of year that it is and that people are not prioritizing what's going on the internet. They're just not. People are in the house, eating chicken noodle soup, bundled up around the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa around their grandkids, stuff that normal people do around this time of year.
So let's adjust. Let's adjust so that the things that work and things that don't. And let's adjust to do things that will work. It's not a hard concept. It's just that I need to know what will work.
So if it's not a hard concept, why haven't you figured it out yet? You've been doing this a long time, but here we are once again at a crossroads where you're confused about what's the next game you should play. Like that's some type of earth-shattering decision that needs to be made. But the truth is, it has to be this way because you need to know what whales are going to engage at what times. And you did this to yourself. When you look back at the whole Asmongold money buff and all that, you completely squandered that and you have nobody to blame. All you had to do is do what you claim you do, is have chill streams. You should have never mentioned the detractor not one time. It was people in my comments asking me, are you that urban guy that Asmongold mentioned? They were talking about robust urban garlic, right? But they were a little confused. But I was just looking at that. I'm like, damn, this dude don't even understand that he has this humongous spotlight on him and he's redirecting traffic to other people. Like, what are you doing?
I need to know what you will show up for and you will support. Okay? That's it. What do you want? Let me know. I'm open. My ears are open. RimWorld comes Wednesday. What else do you want? We already weren't going to do a Power Wash Sim 2 stream again this week anyway. All right? That's a given. We weren't going to do a second stream. But what else do you want? Because a stream with only 200 attendees on YouTube, making $60 of support is not a successful stream. It's a failure. Okay? Earlier today, I would argue Tainted Grail was kind of middle of the road. It wasn't a bad stream. I wish more people liked it because half the audience was saying they didn't like it. And last night for Megabonk, that was a failure because I think Megabonk got played out. I'll agree there. Megabonk got kind of repetitive and boring.
You agree to what though, Phil? You see the pedestal from which his thought process launches from? The entitlement is so crazy. He agrees there that you shouldn't have gave him money because even he was tired of that game. That's essentially what he just said. He thinks that's a normal thing to say in passing. Like he just went on to his next thought. It's crazy.
And maybe we should have actually tapped out last time we played it, but we wanted to give it one more try, and that's fine. Okay? But now it's time to move on to other stuff. Tomorrow, will people show up? Arc Raiders has been doing good. Arc Raiders has consistently been doing good with viewership and in support, right? So will it continue tomorrow? Are we going to see a fourth stream now where people are like, oh, you played too much Arc Raiders. Now that's played out.
Look how nervous he is. Look at this. Look at the uncertainty just oozing off of him. And again, this goes back to the importance of having a plan, especially as a young man. Women too, but especially as young men, because if you're standing in front of the judge or you're in a situation where you're being judged by somebody, they're not going to care about what you did not know, what you weren't told, and how ignorant you are to certain things. When you get to a certain age societally, people have an expectation of understanding based on your age. And if you're not conforming, they're going to look at you like you have a problem. This is, like I said, it's important to have a plan. But this is systematic of Phil's gambling addiction, because what comes with addiction is the over reliance on other people. And anybody who's dealt with addiction will tell you these people are stuck in a perpetual cycle of paying for the stuff that they want and then resorting to begging for the things that they need. They'll come to your house and eat your food and use your shower, and They don't have anything for themselves in terms of necessities, but they got the new Jordans, they got the latest phone, you know, what have you. It really is an ass backwards way of thinking, and it's counterintuitive. But this is the cycle that Phil finds himself stuck in.
You know, tomorrow night we're going to test Call of Duty again. It worked on Christmas Eve. People liked it and came and actually did well in it because of my new setup. And it did well. So now I'm bringing it back for a night stream as a test. Is it going to flop? You know?
You see how he said, is it going to flop? Like his channel is the filter that games go through to determine if they're good to other people or not. Call of Duty, I know Black Ops 7 for the most part is not doing well, but Call of Duty as a franchise, you know, they've been around a long time. And even aside from that, Phil, you said so many games are bad for all the wrong reasons. Even if a game is bad, it's just not going to carry any weight coming from you. You know, you just complain too much. Like I said before, you've become white noise.
My God, I swear, people really are. I know what it is you're trying to get my goat when you say dumb shit like that. People don't know what you want if you don't have a goal.
Now, I want y'all to, again, pay attention to Phil, because what he's doing is distancing his thought process from what this guy is saying in an attempt to make himself seem more intelligent. He does this all the time, but the dude is correct. But let's just see what he says.
I guess people that say that are such simpletons that they just don't understand like common sense, right? Like, what is common sense? Common sense would be, I want a good amount of people who are on the stream watching it. I want a good amount of people who are interacting with the content and talking with me, talking about the content. And I want a good amount of people who will support the content with financial contributions as well. It's a balance. And the thing is, it doesn't always have to be the same. It doesn't have to be an arbitrary number of viewers, an arbitrary amount of people engaging, and an arbitrary amount of support.
But it was always that, Phil. And this is the issue that you have, because this is the framework that you've used to teach your audience what you perceive as a good stream. And this is something that they've adhered to for a very long time. And now they're kind of like leaves in the wind, not really understanding how to please you. So in their minds, okay, I guess it's still $150 because you have not created a real framework for what success is anymore, Phil. You took something away without replacing it with anything. And that's your fault. And again, it goes back to your lack of planning.
It could fluctuate. But I'm seeing 3 straight streams. Mega Bonk, Tainted Grail, now Power Wash. Everything is down. It's not just 1 out of 3. It's across the board. All 3 things are down.
And what's the common denominator? This is not that hard to figure out, man. Phil, you're not entertaining. You're just not, dude. And you waste so much time. You're so inefficient. You waste time so much that if you cumulatively went over the course of the week for all your bathroom breaks and your arbitrary breaks and all the podcasts that are not supposed to be podcasts and all your chill with Phils, how many hours over the course of the week is just filled with you just running your mouth when you could be playing games on DSP gaming? So the people who came from Asmongold are used to a certain content cycle. Really, if they come from any other gaming channel, they're used to a certain content cycle. And these guys are playing this game at a more efficient rate than you, and they're editing and they're doing thumbnails. Like, why are you so bad at this?
So that tells me I need to do other stuff. That's what it tells me. I'm trying to be as reasonable as possible and as transparent and straightforward and honest as possible. This is not rocket science. Take a look at the leaderboard right now. You ready? Top subs, 0. Didn't get a single sub tonight. Top kicks, 1 person gave kicks. Top memberships, 0. No one gave a membership tonight. Top super chat, Midnight 5000. There was 1 other person who did a significant super chat tonight. That was it. In fact, out of all the support tonight, it's like 2 people.
Now, does this sound like somebody giving you the analytics from the perspective of, like, we collectively need to do better? Or is this somebody who's complaining and acting like a boss who He gave you a job and you didn't finish it on time. He sounds like a disgruntled foreman. You were supposed to run conduit. You were supposed to be on the lift and doing terminations. And you were supposed to be over there doing receptacles. And I went to lunch and I came back and it all still looks the same. And I'm trying to figure out why all three things are messed up. Somebody tell me something. This is the energy that he has. So for normal people, when you create this really divisive and insidious environment, Phil, they're just going to go somewhere else because people have so many damn options. This is why, again, you lost so many of the Asmongold viewership because you act like you're the only game in town. You can only get away with these antics when you're a big fish in a small pond and people don't have anywhere else to go. But the second you start getting competition, where did your audience go? To everybody else, Phil.
Engagement. Half the people here didn't talk, right? Even the regulars like Jade barely talked to me tonight. That means the game was boring. That means people were legit bored and didn't really care to hang around and interact. So I got to move on, right? That's what
you see what he said. So now we know that financially, Wells determined if the game did well. But if Jade is not talking in the stream chat, now we know that from an engagement standpoint, in terms of interactions, things have not gone well. So now we have a new measuring stick or metric that we know Phil is using to determine if something is good or not. But once again, isn't it one of his main dents that are determining these things? So Phil, you've never tried to appeal to a wider audience because when you had them in front of you, you did what you would do with your core audience. You just sat there and ran your damn mouth. And not only did you sit there and run your mouth, but you ran your mouth about the most uninteresting things. You would take segments and things that should take you 5 minutes to explain, and you would push it out to an hour and a half, just boring people to death, dude. And then when the gameplay finally came, here comes the heavyweight fight. We've been waiting for this all night. And then it ends up being terrible. So it's like you make people wait forever for something. And then when they finally get it, it's not even good.
That's what it's saying to me. It's saying, listen, awful. Move on, do something different. Okay, let's do something. Tell me what. Let's try something. Let's try something different, right?
Yeah, that's it on that. But I did want to drive home the concept and the understanding that, I look at my analytics and I know for the most part, it's young men and men around my age that are listening to me. And I cannot stress enough the importance of having a plan. This is why I stressed early on about you understanding what your gifts are and what you actually are here for, so you'll know what to offer the world and what you should spend your time on cultivating, so you don't end up in a situation like this guy. And I know, especially in the modern day, they like to try to paint the ancient world as if it was barbaric and people were just doing crazy things. And no, they had a very high understanding of the human condition and how we thought. This is why, for the most part, if your father was a blacksmith, that's what you were going to do. And I know that sounds strict or, oh, what about no, what that does is it clears up the uncertainty, which clears up the confusion, because we have a lot of people now these days that are 20, 25 years old at some collegiate institution and they're changing their majors 3 and 4 times. And then they get out and then they get a job, but it has nothing to do with the degree that they spent so much time and money trying to obtain. So it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Back then, you knew early on what you were going to do. And by the time you were 25 years old, you were pretty much an expert, So again, we like to look at history as if it was the ancient past and it's something that we should ignore. But, a lot of them had long running dynasties that lasted 2,000, 3,000 years. And there's a reason for that. And I think we should pay attention to that. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Urban style content. I'm dead.